right, round four comes to me. Not the award-winning, but the much maligned tabletop team up. When I say much maligned, I mean by the other people on this show, which is funny because tabletop team up was not my idea. But anyway, in this segment, we dream up a game, a what if scenario, combining two games or ideas that already exist and mashing them together to make one epic experience. Something like Canvast, where you take canvas and vast. Sorry, I got to get as much mileage out of this as I can.
You should, absolutely.
And so,
absolutely.
And it can be two games like that was, or it can be a game and an IP, or it can be a game and a different theme, or what have you. And so I'm going to go first because I'm hosting the segment. And appropriately enough, I'm doing this with on the day that we're talking about Dune Imperium, because one of the things I brought up with Dune Imperium is the IP. The IP turns people off, people like me anyway. And I consider myself man of the people when it comes to board games. And so how about we do something about that? So you're intrigued, obviously, by the popular game Dune Imperium, but you have no knowledge of the source material, right? After all, who has time to read, right? I mean, come on. And those movies are way too confusing. I mean, a half hour in, I didn't know what was going on. If only someone would take the solid mechanics of this game and combine them with an IP that the common person can relate to. Joe Public. How about centering it around a popular animated series that has entertained generations of gamers? Introducing Scooby-Doo Imperium. Contains all the great gameplay of the original, but includes the cast of your favorite cartoon sleuths. There's also some minor tweaks. Instead of featuring a desert planet, our heroes will enjoy a dessert planet. In addition, the cards you use to build your deck will incorporate guest stars from the show, including Sonny and Cher, Don Knotts, as you see here, and the Harlem Globetrotters. Like all this spice would go great on some burgers, Scoob. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. There you go. Scooby-Doo Imperium, baby. It's got to
like it, but John, I got to be honest.
Don Knotts right there.
Don Knotts. Oh, I didn't even see Don Knotts. Fantastic. Don Knotts.
Did you know he was on the original Scooby-Doo? There you go.
I'm not surprised because I never watched a lot of Scooby. I watched some Fat Albert, and I know the Globetrotters on Fat Albert a couple times, so that was pretty good.
There we go.
I gotta be honest, like this is not the same level as Canvas because you missed the softball.
What was the softball?
You didn't put the double O over the U.
Yeah, I wanted to keep the logo.
Oh,
sorry.
You gotta fix that. But otherwise, fantastic work. Otherwise.
All right, Chris, what you got, buddy?
All right, so yeah, mine is mine. I don't have the crafting ability of John. I mean, I actually do, but I use mine for like role play stuff.
And there we go. Make some excuses.
Making castles and making walls, that kind of stuff. That's where I spend my time. But regardless, so mine is I'm combining two of my favorite things. My favorite genre of board games, along with at least top 10, probably top 5, for sure, series, if not just standalone film of 18XX with Back to the Future.
Oh.
Right? So okay, I love
intrigued.
The original Back to the Future is fantastic. I'm not sure I've talked about this game on the show before. I know I've talked about this verbally to some people, but I'm sure I've talked about the game before. So I love 18XX as we talked about, and I love Back to the Future. And so a while back, I was like thinking, okay, what's a game that I could make? What's an IP I could put on 18XX? And my thought was the Back to the Future series. So it would be kind of like out of sequence, and it would also be killing a couple of sacred cows of 18XX. But there's so many exceptions to the rule of 18XX, which is the reason there's a whole genre of the game that I figured it'd work. So here it is. So what you use, you have a map, but it's a map of Hill Valley. Okay, you start out the game in the third film, so to speak, where it's the Old West. And as a key cog of 18XX games, you go to different cities or off the board areas, which are more cities. And early in the game, if you go to them, they're worth like 30. But then at the end of the game, because the game progresses over time, you start with small little trains that only go to 2 places that cost $80. That's the correct amount. Real trains cost $80. I don't care what you think, Daniel.
That's right.
And then later in the game, you can get a train that goes to like 6 places for like, $700 or something like that. So my thought was you have Hill Valley and, and so not only do the trains progress, but also the value of the different cities, they only go up. So the 31 might turn to 50, might turn to 80 at the end of the game. Well, my thought was to have Hill Valley And what it is you can go to the different cities and they're different values based on the time of the movie. So the clock tower in the as you start the game in the Old West is worth the most, right? Because they're putting up the clock tower, they're building it, it's a big deal. But then in like the original film in 1955, it's still worth something. But then in 1985, it's not worth anything because it's not working, right? And then in 2015, it's also not really worth for something. And then like Biff's casino only happens during the 2015 era. So all the different places on the map have different values based on the era that you're in. And at first, you're laying tiles that look like train tracks, and then you're laying tiles that look like road, and then you're laying tiles that are just little dots because your cars are flying. So again, that was really convoluted, not really long. I understand that, but I want to give my thought across of why I think you could make it happen. I'm not sure anyone would be happy with the game but me. 18xx purists would actually have a problem with it. They'd be like, what the crap's going on here? It'd be too complicated for people buying it just as an IP, but I don't know. I think it'd be fun.
Chris, I think you should give it a go. Give up on your Catan pipe dream that you have and start working on that. Because I'd play that. That actually sounded really cool. I love that idea. Let's do 18xx Marvel after that. I mean, the sky is the limit.
I think my only problem with it is if it's based on 18xx. I mean, this is going to last 4.5 hours, or is this going to be? Are you going to wish you could actually go back in time in this game and be like,
get your time back? You know what? I've learned quite a few things for playing 18ms recently. That's a 18x at full. I mean, it's hard to
18ms,
say.
18ms. That's the one that happens only once a month, right?
Oh my, I'm not sure where that was going, but regardless, most 18xx games take 4 to 6 hours, but there's one called 18ms for Mississippi, and you can play it in 2.5 hours. It's a close, like it's not, it gives you all the feels. I can't say it's a full-fledged 18xx game, but it gives you all the feels of 18xx in 2 to 2.5 hours. So I really enjoy it. It's fantastic.
I love that. I love how it gives you all the feel of the complete game in the maximum amount of time I would ever want to sit down playing a game. So there's this short little game that it
there we go.
It's the unfortunate truth. Like there's some things that have to be cut, but like it still gets you there. It's fantastic. I really
That's
like
funny.
It.
But
so I think with that knowledge, I could figure out how to do it in 2 to 2.5 hours. That's what I think.
Well, that was a good one, Chris.
That was actually very good.
Are we ready for Hansa?
Yeah.
Is this gonna happen?
Gosh. Are we? I don't know.
All right, guys. I'm so excited for mine. So mine is going to combine 2 games that has a lot of cubes. It's Hansa Teutonica with Lords of Waterdeep. Hansa Teutonica, my game, is wonderful, but there's one game that has so many more cubes, and that is Lords of Waterdeep. You have like 50 cubes per color, and I don't even know how you would integrate them, but you could have adventures on your routes and between Europe and trading on the Mediterranean and all that good stuff, and you could just put more cubes in there they could be cleric cubes and wizard cubes and thief cubes and so many cubes.
You know what, Hansa, I like it, but I think we need to go to the next level. We need to collab, and I think we need to come up with Sidereal Lords of Teutonica. We need to add the cubes from a Sidereal Confluence as well.
Oh my gosh,
I was actually going another way, where you could call it Hansa Deep, and it could come with a little Hansa, and you put his little feet in little cubes, and you drop him in the deep, and that's how you win the game. That's the way.
That felt a little aggressive there, John. All right.
I thought it was a fantastic idea, Hansa. I'm looking forward to playing it.
That's right. All right. Well, to stay on track with our cinematic theme that we had this episode, I decided to mix a game with one of my all-time favorite comedies, Dude, Where's My Car?
Ooh, all right.
And it is something as simple as I pulled a John. John's a little bit better still, but
okay.
Dude, Where's My Card? Crossroad Games. That's right. Dude, Where's My Card? And Dead of Winter.
Oh.
All right, guys. Can you imagine playing a game where you can be Ashton Kutcher or those other people that aren't famous anymore?
No.
And you can go to the different locations to try to investigate the events that happened the night before. Instead of going to the library, you can go to the dry cleaners. Instead of going to the school, you can go to the arcade. That's right. And you could even go to Zoltan. That's right. And as you're moving between the locations, your threats that are approaching you are the attractive space aliens, the Norwegian space aliens, and of course Zoltan himself. So yeah, I don't know. And then you have the crossroad system. So you got the story. So if somebody like says,
Gotcha.
dude, you go stop, and you read the event that happens, and it just ultimately says, if someone at the table says, dude, you have to say sweet, and then they have to say, dude, and then that goes on for like a good 30 minutes, and that's half the game. So,
So someone comes in and says, "Oh, you're stupid."
So yeah, so dude, where's my card?
Sweet.
A crossroad games.
Okay, or you could have a whole different name, like "Dead of My Car" or "Dude, Where's My Winter," or "It's Winter, My Car's Dead." I mean, something like that.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to think about it. I was also thinking about like, dude, where's my automobiles, or dude, where is my Kanban? But I don't know. I went the easy route with
That's all right.
A crossroad game.
Okay, that works. That works.
It's true. At first, I was like, "Oh, I felt like you just kind of mailed it in." But then the more you talked about it, I was like, "No, this works. Like you actually put it together. Like like if you had gone with "Dude, where my automobile," like that one just wouldn't have worked. But like it made more sense, right? It was more straight on. Yeah. But that was fantastic. I really like that. That was good. That actually
not bad at all, there, Daniel.
That actually sounds
bad.
really good. Like especially when you were like the aliens. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that works."
Yeah,
I like
they had threats. They had dangers.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm saying. Like I was just like, "Yeah, this actually totally works. It makes sense completely." Yeah, that was great.
We've come to the end of the segment, and we'll see if Hansa won this one because he needs some points. But we're going to get points for first, second, and third place here on our tabletop team up. So, Randy, who is the third place winner?
Oh no!
We have a consolation prize going to Hansa, apparently.
Oh, okay.
So does that mean I get to? Do I get something?
Apparently, you get nothing. It's an honorable mention because you're a guest.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Everything's fine.
It's a third place is actually Daniel.
What?
Somebody had to be
had
third.
A visual aid.
Somebody had to be third.
My card. And it's tough. One of Randy's favorite games.
That's what it was.
It looks like Dead of Winter. There's even a zombie hand. See the zombie hand?
He's pandering. He was pandering. That's what. All right. What? Oh, wow. Second place is Chris, getting him up to 11 points. There we go. Wow. I finally get my due.
I don't know. I actually, no offense, John, no offense, but I think Chris's had the best one. I thought Chris's was really good. I could totally get on board this, but it's your visual aid. We know it. And it's
Chris
also,
did impress me.
It's also Chris's pandering to the judge earlier.
That's exactly what it was too. I think he felt that.
Oh man, I really want to talk about it because it's on point with the game, but I guess I have to wait for next time. I'm adding a note. We're going to come back to this in the future. Next time when we are going to talk about this, I'm putting it in my phone right now. John, you talk about stuff that I don't care about.
Okay. Well, that means I win. I'll go ahead and announce it. I won, and it's been a while since I've won. Actually, I won in the last show we did, but I had to throw it to the host. So, or the guest.
No, the last show we did, I won by a spectacular.
Oh, that's right. I blocked that one out of my mind because I was okay. And we talked about it earlier in the show, and that's what I want to talk about. I'm making an appeal to the game designers everywhere that take the guts of this game, this beautiful game, The Godfather, Corleone's Empire. This thing went down to $10 a couple years ago because they overproduced or whatever. Because guess what? Nobody knows about the movie The Godfather, so they weren't buying it. Unless you played it, you weren't buying it. And now it's back up to like $100 for this game. Have you seen that on eBay and everything?
Really?
Yeah, these games are going for over $100 new. And so, I saw one actually at the Gen Con garage sale. And yeah, I was going to snag it up. Some dude already had it that was like $30. I'm like, what? Because you can't find them for that anymore. And I have a broken piece in here. So that's why I was looking for it. But somebody take the guts of this game. This is a beautiful game. add a little bit more to it. You know what they do when they bring stuff out, Chris? They add some more to it so you can make it a Kickstarter and, charge people $200 for it. I don't care. I'll buy it. I'll buy a new version of this game with some upgraded components and I will enjoy it. All it really needs is more missions. Do you guys agree? That's basically all you need, is because the missions will get kind of the samey every game.
You can have different maps.
Everything
too.
else, if you played it 10, 15 times, the missions start getting a little samey. But what would be really cool is you take a little page from Pioneer Days. You guys have played Pioneer Days, right? Where you start with different types of people and and those are the only ones in the game. The rest of them aren't. You would do that. Use group A and B on the missions and put them in there. And that way you'd have different missions each time. And that would be one way to do it. A whole bunch of missions, but you use different groups of them and maybe they work well together. I don't know, something like that. I'm not a game designer. You people out there that make games, do this, man. This game is amazing and it needs to come back out. That's my 2-minute spiel.
I like it. It's fair.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that game definitely deserves a lot more love. I'm not glad it's going for $100, but like what that means for it does make me glad because people are realizing that there's a solid game there.
And maybe somebody will wake up and remake it.
That's right.
We can hope.
All right, guys. Well, let's end this show with birthdays. I'll start with wishing a happy birthday to Ark Nova 2021. It's 3 years old. Ark Nova is one of my favorite games. You get to build a zoo and you get to race around scoring tracks. But sorry, Hansa, not a lot of cubes in this one.
All right. I've got Foundations of Rome, which is 2 years old. So it's starting to get old. But Foundations of Rome, this game looks amazing. This is one of those games. It's like one of my Grail games just to play at least. Do we even know anybody that owns Foundations of Rome? Have you guys seen it played?
I have not.
No,
someone at PC
bad.
Gamers probably.
If you know me and you own this game, let's please bring it to a game night or something because I would love to play this game. This just looks amazing. It looks like people call it overproduced. I think it just looks produced just enough. I don't think it's going to be tedious to use all the different things. I think it's just going to add to the enjoyment of the game. It's a very light game from what I see on BGG too, like a rating of under 2. But Foundations of Rome, 2 years old in April.
Yeah, it's definitely overproduced, but you know what's exciting about it is that I believe it's going to be up for the Spiel des Jahres this year in 2024.
Yes, probably will.
That's a call back to a long-term joke in case you've never watched our show before. But anyways, though, mine is my number one, my tribal chief of board gaming, Power Grid. I'm so okay. So recently we did the March Madness board games, and you know what? The fact that Castles of Burgundy won because it was Castle of Burgundy, the new edition, the miniatures game. I even had a half moment. I was like, you know what? That'd be great if they actually came out with a Kickstarter Power Grid, so all the stupid people could get excited about it because of all the junk that's added to it. But you know what? I still don't think so because I love the fact that you can still get this game for like $35 today. Like,
wow,
it is still very cheap, even though it's a fantastic game because it's not overproduced. So you know what? As much as I would love to have the chance of Power Grid going number 1 in our March Madness, I love you, Power Grid. You're timeless. Happy 20th birthday. Let's go 200 more.
Thank you for watching this clip from Around the Board. If you'd like to watch the full episode, please click on the link down below. Around the Board is essentially a game show featuring 4 board game enthusiasts that discuss board game topics and news in a competitive format. Whoever wins gets to talk about whatever he wants at the end of the show. So please join us, won't you, Around the Board?